Marcus awoke to the faint sound of rustling nearby, a noise so soft it could have been the wind, if not for its rhythmic persistence. His eyes fluttered open, the dim light of early morning casting long shadows across the alley. The biting cold wrapped around him like a cruel second skin, and for a moment he felt disoriented, unsure of where he was or what had woken him. Then he saw it. The scrappy grey cat from the other night stood just a few feet away, its piercing green eyes locked onto his. The sight stirred something inside him, a mix of surprise, relief, and a faint, unexplainable warmth. Marcus propped himself up on his elbows, wincing as the stiffness in his joints protested.
You again?
He murmured, his voice rough from the cold and the long night. The cat took a cautious step closer, its tail swishing low behind it. There was something different about it this time, though. A thin red ribbon was tied neatly around its neck, fluttering slightly in the breeze. Marcus frowned, his curiosity piqued. Where had the cat been, and who had tied the ribbon?
Looks like someone's been taking care of you,
he muttered, his tone edged with a faint bitterness. He pushed himself into a sitting position, the effort making his muscles ache.
Lucky you.
But as the cat drew closer, Marcus noticed something else, a small folded piece of paper tied to the ribbon. His heart skipped a beat. He rubbed his eyes, convinced the hunger and cold were playing tricks on him. But no, it was real. There was a note. The cat stopped a foot away and sat down, watching him intently. Marcus hesitated, his hand hovering mid-air as if unsure whether to reach for the note.
What is this, huh? Some kind of game?
The cat tilted its head, unblinking, as if urging him to take the next step. Finally, he extended his hand slowly, his fingers trembling from the cold and a hint of nervousness. The cat didn't flinch as he untied the ribbon and removed the note. The paper was small and folded neatly, the edges slightly creased as if it had been handled with care. With a deep breath, Marcus unfolded the note. The handwriting inside was clean and deliberate, the kind that belonged to someone who took their time crafting their words. He read it aloud, his voice barely more than a whisper.
Thank you for feeding her when she needed it most. If you're in need, come to 12th and Pine at 6 p.m. tonight. No questions asked.
Marcus blinked, reading the words again to make sure he wasn't imagining them. His mind raced with questions. Who had written this? How did they know about him? And why would anyone leave a message for him, someone the world had all but forgotten? He looked at the cat, who now lay curled up by his side, purring softly.
You brought me this?
He asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. The cat didn't respond, of course, but its calm demeanor seemed almost purposeful, as if it had accomplished some great mission. Marcus sat there for several minutes, the note clutched tightly in his hands. The words were simple, yet they carried a weight that he couldn't shake. Someone had noticed him. Someone had seen his act of kindness, an act he had all but dismissed as meaningless, and decided it was worth acknowledging. The realization was both unsettling and strangely comforting. The rest of the day passed in a haze of uncertainty. Marcus couldn't stop thinking about the note, replaying the words over and over in his mind. The address was familiar enough. 12th and Pine wasn't far from where he was. But the instructions raised more questions than answers. What would happen if he went? Was it a trap? Or some cruel joke designed to humiliate him further? The city had taught Marcus to be wary of anything that seemed too good to be true. Life on the streets was a constant battle for survival, and trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. Yet, despite his doubts, a part of him couldn't let go of the possibility that this might be real. What if this was his chance? What if, for once, the universe was offering him a way out? By late afternoon, Marcus had made his decision. He would go. He didn't have much to lose, after all. If it turned out to be a dead end, he'd be no worse off than he was now. But if there was even the slightest chance that this note could lead to something better, he had to take it. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Marcus found himself standing at the corner of 12th and Pine. The street was quiet. bathed in the soft orange glow of the setting sun. The buildings here were older, their worn facades a testament to years of neglect, but there was a certain charm to them, an echo of a time when this part of the city had thrived. Marcus glanced around nervously, clutching the note in his pocket like a talisman. He felt out of place, his tattered clothes and unkempt appearance stark against the clean, orderly backdrop of the street. A part of him wanted to turn back, to retreat to the familiarity of his alley where no one could see him. But the cat's green eyes flashed in his memory, steady and unyielding, and he forced himself to stay. He leaned against a lamppost, his heart pounding as he waited. The seconds stretched into minutes, each one feeling heavier than the last. What if no one showed up? What if this really was a joke? Just as doubt began to take hold, Marcus heard the low hum of a car engine. He turned his head and his breath caught in his throat. A sleek black car was pulling up to the curb, its glossy exterior gleaming under the streetlights. The windows were tinted, obscuring whoever was inside. The car came to a stop, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft click, the passenger side window rolled down, revealing a woman in her early 50s. She had sharp, intelligent eyes and a warm smile that seemed to radiate an air of calm authority. Marcus stared at her, unsure of what to say or do.
You must be Marcus.
The woman said, her voice smooth and confident. He hesitated, his throat dry.
How do you know my name?
The woman's gaze shifted downward, and Marcus followed it to see the grey cat sitting at his feet. It had appeared out of nowhere, as if it had been waiting for this very moment.
That's Luna,
the woman said, nodding toward the cat.
She's mine, or at least she was. She disappeared a few weeks ago. I've been looking for her ever since.
Marcus looked at the cat, then back at the woman.
I don't understand. Why would you leave me a note? Why would you…
Because you helped her when she needed it.
The woman interrupted gently.
You fed her when you had almost nothing yourself. Most people wouldn't have bothered.
Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. He wanted to protest, to say it wasn't a big deal, but the words wouldn't come. The woman reached into the car and retrieved an envelope, extending it toward him.
Here,
she said.
This is for you.
Marcus took the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a stack of crisp bills and a handwritten note.
This is just the beginning. If you're willing, come to this address tomorrow morning. There's an opportunity waiting for you.
His vision blurred with tears as he looked back at the woman.
Why?
He whispered.
Why would you do this for me?
The woman smiled, her eyes softening.
Because sometimes, Marcus, a small act of kindness can change everything.
The cat meowed softly, rubbing against his leg, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Marcus allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, things were about to change.